There are 6 exhibits for this hearing. Exhibit number 1 is the city manager's report. That's 1 page. Exhibit 2, notice of public hearing, 1 page. Exhibit 3, public hearing publication, 1 page. Exhibit 4, list of interested persons for St. Catherine's public engagement meeting, 1 page. Exhibit number 5, January 7, 2026, public engagement meeting recap, 2 pages. Exhibit 6, resolution number 2026-02, authorizing the chief elected official to sign an application for EPA Brownfield Program Cleanup Grant. That's 1 page. I'll accept exhibits 1 through 6 into evidence, take comments from city staff before opening up to the public.
Thanks, Nathaniel. And so this is a requirement of the Brownfields cleanup grant that we're wanting to go ahead and apply for. They have a number of different requirements that we have to make sure that we fulfill prior to application submittal. So this particular public hearing is for the consideration of a resolution authorizing submission of the fiscal year 2026 EPA Brownfield Cleanup Grant application for the St. Catherine Healthcare Campus. When we say campus, it's not just the St. Catherine's building itself, it's also the convent mechanical building. This would be a grant specifically for environmental cleanup activities only. It's not for anything else at this time. As far as the St. Catherine's main complex, as this group knows, it's been vacant since, I want to say, February of 2010, so it's been 16 years since it's been occupied. During that time, we've had a number of issues with that particular facility. We've had a lot of ownership changes. We've had 3 ownership changes prior to the city of McCook CDA taking possession of it here at the end of this past year. Private entities have tried to go ahead and remedy the situation, but it's proved to be too costly. We've always kind of taken that hands-off approach. We'd rather have private businesses go ahead and take responsibility, but in this particular case, we found that it's probably a little bit too much. And so we've been looking for ways to go ahead and try to remedy, in particular, the hazardous substance issues that we've been dealing with at that site. This area is within redevelopment area 3. It's blighted and substandard due to that designation. We do have hazardous materials in the building. We have asbestos. We also have lead-based paint. That was confirmed in the Tetra Tech evaluation that was conducted in 2013 by the MEDC, and then a follow-up evaluation also confirmed that as well too. As mentioned, the property is owned by the McCook CDA at this point in time. So now we have the authority, because it is owned by a governmental entity, to go ahead and apply for a Brownfields grant. As far as the activities that we're looking at trying to do, we want to remove and remediate the asbestos and also the lead paint from the facilities. We also want to make sure that we're focusing on trying to eliminate any of the health and safety risks that are provided by this facility. One of the things that's been problematic is it's been an attractive nuisance. We actually health boarded this building in 2013 to try to make sure that the city had taken all the steps necessary to keep people out. So in 2013, after the health board determination was made, we actually put plywood over the windows. We took down some of the fire escapes. We've done everything we possibly can to try to make sure that it is not accessible, but when people want to access something, they can find a way to get to it. So, and then one of the things that we have also talked about is this site being reused at a future date and time. But in order to do that, we have to make sure that we're taking care of the initial steps, the hazardous material steps. So this particular meeting allows for public participation. We want to make sure that people have an opportunity to speak to this particular item. Public notice was published in advance of this meeting. We also had a draft analysis of Brownfields cleanup alternatives that was put on file here in the city of McCook prior to this meeting, and it was available for public review. We want to make
My name is Colin Cash. I'm one of the owners of Built Right Homes. Built Right Homes has been in business for over a decade. We do 300 to 400 full roofing, siding, gutters, window projects every single year. We've worked on over 2,500 homes in the last 10 years, from neighborhoods after Hurricane Katrina to you name it. We want to get people's homes not just back in shape, but in better condition than they were so they can get back to living their lives. We have a very high standard for quality that we're going for, and we don't want to offer any product that we can't just knock the socks off of our customers, right? We absolutely want to exceed everybody's expectations, and so we only use the absolute best materials that you can get. The best shingles, the best siding, gutters. We want our products to stand the test of time. I would put my company against any other company out there.
Make sure that everybody has the opportunity to give input on the proposed cleanup and the application, and so we welcome people sharing their thoughts. Just so everybody knows, the ABCA stands for the Analysis of Brownfields Cleanup Alternatives, and it's required for EPA brownfields cleanup grants. The ABCA identifies the environmental hazards present at the site. It reviews reasonable cleanup options. It compares those options based on effectiveness, cost, and feasibility. Then also it recommends a cleanup approach that protects public health and the environment. As far as the campus itself, the ABC evaluates alternatives in order to address asbestos-containing materials and lead-based paint within the buildings. It explains why cleanup is necessary, what methods are available, and which approach best balances safety, cost, and the city's ability to implement the work. The ABCA is made available for public review and comment before the city submits the grant application, and it's used by the EPA to ensure the proposed cleanup is appropriate, protective, and eligible for funding. And so if anybody wants to look at it after the fact, they can as well too. We've also done additional publication. I think that the final publication was a 14-day publication, which expires on the 27th. Which fits right in handy with the application deadline, which is the 28th. So we're sitting in good shape there. As far as community importance, the one thing I would say about this area, I mean, this is a residential neighborhood. We all know where St. Catherine's is located and what surrounds that area. You've got an elementary school within a few blocks. You've got the county fairgrounds. Within 5 to 6 blocks, you have the junior high convent, same way, same location, as well as the mechanical building. So it's right there in the north central part of town. It's very noticeable. And obviously, the hazardous materials creates a concern for our community in general. One of the things that we always want to do when we're doing these kinds of projects is to make sure that we are protecting vulnerable populations, which I think we're doing with this particular project. Like I said, this isn't a blighted and substandard area. We want to make sure that we take every necessary step to make sure that we are trying to de-blight some of these areas. As far as safety concerns go, like I said, that structure, people have been getting in and out of there for a long time. And there have been fires that have been started in that area, if I remember correctly, Chief Harpham. Have there been fires in there? I know that you go through there, you can find beer bottles and beer cans and whatnot. And so, I mean, obviously there are people that were using it for things that it wasn't designed to be used for. And so we want to make sure that we're addressing those concerns and problems. And then hopefully this is going to mean that we're going to be able to have a positive impact on that neighborhood. And that's what our ultimate goal is. Future reuse, one of the things that we want to make sure that we look at moving forward is that while we don't have reuse as part of the approval for the application tonight, there is that anticipated future reuse that can occur following cleanup, which could include residential development. We talked about at the January 7th meeting that you could have market rate, you could have low to moderate income. There's just a combination of things that we could do moving forward. We just don't know what that would look like. And again, that's not specific to this particular application, but it's important that people understand. And then also, as far as if there were any kind of redevelopment decisions that had to be made, it would come to the council would ultimately vote on those alternatives. As far as funding overview, the Brownfields Cleanup Grant would serve as the primary funding source for the remediation. There is $100,000 in rural workforce housing funds that is available for this particular project. And then also there's a possibility of state NWEE funds for contingency purposes. And then also as far as the grant, I mean, the way that it's structured is to fully support the cleanup scope. We're not trying to exceed the scope of this at this point in time. We're just trying to go ahead and remediate the problem that McCook has had for decades. As far as tonight, what we're asking for, we want the council to go ahead and approve the resolution that was part of this particular request. And then also, I just want to make sure that if the approval occurs tonight, it doesn't obligate the city to accept the funds unless the grant is awarded. Again, public hearing process, it's open to everybody. Anybody that wants to say anything, they're more than welcome. And then following the comments and the council discussion, we'll close the public hearing, and then we'll proceed to the consideration of the resolution. With that, I'll turn it over to Amanda.
I mean, I don't really. I feel like that was a pretty good overview. But I mean, you know, the MEDC sees, like Nate said, that there is opportunity here for housing in whatever capacity that may be for the future of the campus of St. Catherine's, whether it's reuse or redevelopment. So, you know, we want to support it. This is a long-standing nuisance in the community, as Nate has stated. Anytime somebody comes to the community, we get posed the question of what is that structure, what's happening there. And so this is finally, I feel like, the community's opportunity to take a stab at addressing it that we have not had in the past.
Thank you, Amanda. There was one additional exhibit I need to add. It's the actual application, grant application. So that'll be exhibit number 7, and it has a lot of pages. I'll count later.
It's like 95 words.
Amanda, exactly how much is this EPA grant? $500,000?
Correct. You have $500,000 plus then $100,000 from the MEDC, from the Rural Workforce Housing Funds.
Yeah, this is an LB 840 fund.
Correct.
Do we know what the total project may cost, what it's estimated to cost?
We'll have to send it out for bid, for a request for qualifications for somebody to do that work that can follow the specific parameters that the federal government sets forth as far as their standards for hiring and bidding.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions, council?
And then is there any questions from the public tonight on this agenda item? Phil, do you want to come forward?
I have a question or a statement.
Sure. You want to state your name and address, please?
Will do. Phil Lyons, McCook, Nebraska, 1007 East First. I wasn't able to come to the meeting on the 7th. I was ill, and judging from what I'm hearing tonight, I'll probably go out of this meeting ill too. There's a lot of coughing going on. But I did something dangerous. I looked at the record on what the council's buying. You bought it. And there's an unreleased mortgage of record right now that's unreleased. There's an unreleased deed of trust of record too from the woman in Pennsylvania, Adamark. So there's 2 unreleased encumbrances on the title. Although the deed to the city of McCook, doing business through the Community Development Agency, says it's free from encumbrances, so that's not true. And I'm sure that there's a good excuse for that. The other thing is when we move in to do cleanups, I always notice that the cost is put across society. We all pay the cost. On the other hand, when there's money to be made, that stays private. How much did the property sell for when the LLC in Pennsylvania bought it? They bought it for $43,000, I'm sorry, and they bought the convent for $60,000. That's $103,000 that was paid by private money for it. And then the city, according to the dock stamps, paid $200,000 for it. And they gave a deed of trust to the McCook Economic Development Corporation for $220,000. So there's money to be made privately. But when it comes to the cleanup, we all pay it. So I think you've overpaid for the property. That's neither here nor there. You've already done it. So I guess we just have to bite the bullet. Everybody's money is nobody's money. That's what I observed. When I was on the council, when I was sitting on the other side, everybody's money is nobody's money. That's why we can spend $200,000 to buy a property that we know is dirty. Brownfield cleanup. I think they had the money appropriated for brownfield cleanup in Mead. They had the horrible mess they had there with they were storing grain that they got that they were using for ethanol plants. They stored grain there, and the Mead cleanup it's a big cleanup. So this is what you've bought. You've bought a cleanup for the city of McCook. We call it the Community Development Agency, but that's still an arm of the city of McCook. That's us, the taxpayer. Everybody's money is nobody's money. It doesn't matter we spend $200,000 on it. When they bought it for $103,000 total, the convent and the hospital, the old hospital. You're not going to make money on, if you sell it in bulk, if you buy more of them and you get rid of it, you're not going to make money. It's going to cost money to clean it up. And this is the city's responsibility now. Well, it's CDA. It's their responsibility, but that's the city of McCook. That's us. Look at the statute, that is us. That's the city of McCook. We're on the hook now for the cleanup. And if Brownfield doesn't clean it up, what do we do for an encore? Go out and buy some more?
Bill, what would you suggest we do with that building? What would
I
you
would not have
suggest
bought
we
it.
do? What
I
would
would
you
not
do
have bought
with it? Would you just continue to let it be a hazard for our community?
Well, they have these things called tax sales occasionally. And a person was able to buy it at a tax sale and they thought they could do something with it.
Yeah.
And so they bought it.
Mhm.
And the city could have bought it too. Not for $200,000. The woman in Pennsylvania is turning a profit. So why should she profit on our backs? Why did you pay $200,000 for it? That would be my question to you. But I'm not allowed to ask questions because that's not the way this works. It's a public hearing to hear comment from the public. And I'm saying that you paid way too much money for the property. You bought an asbestos factory. How do they clean up the asbestos? I've seen asbestos cleanups before. They go in with their moon suits and they pipe air into them, and it's expensive and it's time consuming. What would I do with it? I'd simply knock it down after I cleaned it up, but you've already bought that, so that's what you're gonna have to do. The people that owned it, what would they do? They're just let it sit. At some point, it's gonna come down to the city maybe doing something, but you sure could have bought it for less money, and you sure could make sure that the encumbrances on the property have been paid, because now the encumbrances are there.
I think we have a title commitment, correct, Ryan?
Well, you got a
Yeah.
title commitment, but
Yeah,
it's gotta
all
be
the
clean.
releases were signed, it's in recording right now with a gap policy, so it is all clean and free of encumbrances. It just has not hit the full public record yet with title.
I looked at it today, I know today's a holiday, but I looked at it today and these title encumbrances were not released. That's all I can report what is there today. Like I said, I know it's a holiday, so.
I saw the title commitment, there were the title commitment was clean, it was. I'd be happy to share it with you.
So the title commitment must have missed these then.
Well, no, the title, those probably haven't been recorded. If you're looking online, it may not be online quite yet, if you were doing it from your computer.
I was doing it on my computer, so it's not online, but like I said.
It takes some time for them to actually show the recordings.
I know today's a holiday and it's not gonna be there.
Yeah.
But the deeds were recorded January 6th, and that's long enough to be recorded, and I'm not seeing it.
I can't speak for.
Well, I can tell you what I saw.
Okay, and that's fine, that's fine.
So-
Amanda, could you talk about the method by which the purchase occurred?
Yes, so, The property was purchased using rural and forced housing funds from a grant fund, so no LB 840 or city sales tax or property tax dollars were used to purchase it. Yes, one could make the argument that grant funds come from a form of taxes, but this was from a fund that was awarded to the MEDC through the state.
That doesn't make me feel any better. It's still tax dollars, and we're buying the polluted property. That's what we've done. And that's what we
But
are.
hopefully what we're gonna be able to do is remediate it so that way it's no longer a polluted property, because it's just passed
But you're
from
remediating
generation
what-
to generation to
And then
generation.
what are we gonna do with it when we get done with it?
Is
There's
there any
plans to
other
do something
further
with it?
comment? I don't think it's productive to sit here and argue. Is there any other further comment, Phil?
When provoked, I will respond in kind. But I just wanted the council to know that $200,000 is way too much for this property. And now we're gonna clean it up and hopefully get it cleaned up. We might get a grant, we might not. So this is what we own now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hearing none, I recommend we reconvene.
Okay.
I move to adjourn the public hearing and reconvene as the city council.
I'll second that. Any discussion, council? Okay, all those in favor vote yea, opposed nay.